the breaking point of the samurai ruled against burnout. Takeshi's ancient mindset for modern work. Takeshi woke up before the sun, but he already felt tired. The room was quiet. The alarm had not rung yet, but his mind was loud. Thoughts moved fast. Deadlines, messages, expectations. He sat on the edge of his bed and stared at the floor. His body was there, but his energy was gone. Takeshi was known as a strong man. At work, people respected him. He always delivered on time. He stayed late when others left. He said yes when others said no. Everyone thought he was doing great. But inside, something was slowly breaking. He drank his coffee without tasting it. He checked his phone again and again. His shoulders felt tight. His breath was shallow. He told himself, just one more day. Just push a little more. That was his rule. Push harder. For years, that rule worked. Or at least, it looked like it worked. Takeshi believed that real strength meant never stopping. He believed rest was for weak people. He believed that if he slowed down, everything would fall apart. This belief came from an old story he once heard about samurai warriors. They were brave. They were loyal. They never gave up. Takeshi admired them. He wanted to live like one. So he worked like a warrior every day. Morning meetings, long emails, late nights, no breaks, no silence. Even when he went home, his mind stayed at work. His body was present, but his thoughts were always fighting the next battle. At first, he did not notice the signs. He stopped enjoying small things. Food felt dull. Music felt empty. Conversations felt heavy. He started waking up tired, even after sleeping. His patience became thin. His smile became rare. One night, Takeshi sat alone at his desk. The office was dark. Only his screen was bright. His eyes burned. His hands felt weak. He stared at the words on the screen, but they made no sense. He tried to focus. Nothing happened. He leaned back and closed his eyes. His chest felt tight. His breath became fast. For a moment, he thought something was seriously wrong. That scared him. He stood up and walked to the window. The city lights were shining, but he felt empty. "What is happening to me?" he whispered. This was not failure in work. This was something deeper. Burnout had arrived. The next morning, Takeshi made a mistake. A simple mistake, one he would never make before. His manager noticed. His tone changed. Not angry, just disappointed. That hurt more. For the first time, Takeshi felt something new. Doughty began to question himself. Am I losing my edge? Am I becoming weak? These thoughts followed him all day like shadows. That evening, he visited his old family home. He needed silence. He needed space. The house was small and quiet. It smelled like old wood and memories. In a corner of the room, there was a wooden box. Takeshi had seen it many times before, but never opened it. It belonged to his grandfather. His grandfather was a calm man. He spoke less. He listened more. He was never in a rush. As a child, Takeshi thought his grandfather was slow. Now, he was not so sure. Takeshi opened the box. Inside, there were old items, a worn notebook, a simple cloth, and a folded paper with faded ink. The paper looked ancient. The words were written carefully, as if each line mattered. Takeshi held it in his hands. He felt something strange, a sense of weight, not heavy like work, heavy like meaning. The paper had a short title. One rule. That was all. No long explanation. No instructions. Just 2 words. Takeshi did not open it. Not yet. He placed it on the table and sat down. His mind was racing again. One rule, he thought. How can one rule fix this mess? He laughed softly. It sounded tired, but something inside him felt curious. His grandfather had lived a simple life. He never rushed. He never complained. He worked hard, but he also rested. He always looked present. Takeshi realized something painful. He had been busy, but never present. He had been strong, but never calm. He had been moving, but going nowhere. That night Takeshi could not sleep. The folded paper sat on the table. He kept looking at it. His mind argued with itself. This is old thinking. This won't help in the modern world. You don't have time for this. But another voice spoke quietly. What if this is what you were missing? For the first time in a long while, Takeshi did not open his laptop. He did not check his phone. He sat in silence and listened to his breath. It felt uncomfortable. It felt new as the night passed. Takeshi made a decision. The next day he would read the rule, not to quit his job, not to escape responsibility, but to understand how a warrior truly lived. Because maybe, just maybe, the samurai were not strong because they worked without rest. Maybe they were strong because they knew when to stop. Takeshi folded the paper carefully and placed it beside his bed. Tomorrow, he would face something different. Not another deadline, not another fight, but a rule that had survived time. And if it failed, he would know he had tried. But if it worked, everything could change. The rule revealed the samurai rule against burnout. Takeshi's ancient mindset for modern work. Morning light entered the room softly. Takeshi opened his eyes, but this time he did not reach for his phone. He lay still and listened to his breath. It felt strange. Usually, his days started with noise. Today, there was silence. The folded paper was still beside his bed. He sat up slowly and picked it up. His hands hesitated for a moment. He felt nervous, like he was about to open something that might change him. He unfolded the paper. The words were simple. There were no long sentences, no big explanations. Just a few clear lines written with care. It said, 1 blade, 1 task, then rest. That was the rule. Takeshi stared at it for a long time. This is it, he whispered. No magic words. No promise of success. No talk about winning or power. Just 3 short lines. For a moment, he felt disappointed. His mind wanted something bigger, something more complex, something that could fight modern pressure. But then he remembered his grandfather. Simple life, calm eyes, steady hands. Maybe simplicity was the point. Takeshi read the lines again. 1 blade. He imagined a samurai holding a sword. A warrior did not swing 2 blades at once. He held 1 blade with full attention, 1 task. A samurai did not fight 10 enemies in his mind. He faced what was in front of him. 1 movement, 1 strike, then rest. This line stayed with him the longest. Rest was not after everything was finished. Rest was part of the rule. Takeshi felt uncomfortable. He had never allowed rest without guilt. He folded the paper and placed it on the table. He looked at his watch. He had an hour before work. Normally, he would check emails. Today, he decided to try something different, just for one day. He took a small card and a pen. He wrote one task. Finish project outline. Only one, his mind fought back. What about emails? What about meetings? What if something urgent happens? He took a slow breath. One blade, he said quietly. He set a timer for 25 minutes. When the timer started, he felt nervous. His hand reached for his phone. He stopped himself. He turned the phone face down. The first 5 minutes were hard. Thoughts came fast. Other tasks shouted for attention. His body felt restless. He wanted to stand up, to check something, to escape, but he stayed at 10 minutes. Something changed. The noise in his head softened. His eyes stayed on the work. His hands moved without force. He felt focused, but not tense. For the first time in months, he was doing one thing fully. When the timer ended, a sound rang. Normally, he would continue. Push more, ignore the signal. But the rule said, then rest. Takeshi leaned back. He closed his eyes. He took 3 slow breaths. He did nothing else. No phone, no screen, no thinking, just breathing. It felt small, but it felt real. He stood up and looked out the window. The world did not fall apart. No disaster happened. Nothing broke because he rested. That surprised him. He returned to his desk and started another focused session. Again, it was not easy. Again, he wanted to rush. But slowly, the work moved forward. At work, the day tested him. Messages came. Meetings pulled him away. Old habits tried to return. Each time, he remembered the paper. One blade, one task. When someone asked for something urgent, he paused. He did not say yes immediately. He said, "I will get back to you." That sentence felt powerful. By the afternoon, something strange happened. He was tired, but not empty. His mind felt clearer. His chest felt lighter. The pressure was still there, but it did not crush him. That evening, Takeshi returned home earlier than usual. He did not feel guilty. He felt honest. He sat down and thought about the day. The rule had not changed his job. It had not removed stress, but it had changed how he moved through it. Still, doubt remained. Maybe this only works on a quiet day. He thought. What about real pressure? As if the world heard him. His phone buzzed. An email, a big one, a new project, tight deadline, high expectations. The old fear returned. His heart beat faster. His shoulders tightened. This was the real test. Takeshi looked at the folded paper on his desk. Could this simple rule survive a hard week? Could one blade protect him when everything demanded his attention? He took a deep breath. "I will try," he said. Not for one day, for one full week. He placed the paper where he could see it clearly. Tomorrow he would face real pressure with an ancient rule. And soon he would learn something important. The rule was not about working less. It was about working with presence, and presence, he was starting to realize, was real strength. Practice and small victories, the samurai rule against burnout. Takeshi's ancient mindset for modern work. The week began with pressure. Takeshi stood at his desk on Monday morning and looked at his schedule. Meetings, deadlines, messages, waiting to arrive. Nothing had changed outside, but something inside him was different. The folded paper sat near his keyboard. He read the words again. One blade, one task, then rest. He knew this week would decide everything. If the rule failed, he would return to his old way. If it worked, even a little, he would keep going. He took a small card and wrote one task. Finish first section of project. Only one. His mind protested immediately. It showed him 10 other tasks. It warned him about time. It told him he was being careless. Takeshi took a slow breath. He set the timer. The first work session was hard. His focus broke many times. He caught himself reaching for his phone without thinking. Each time, he gently pulled his hand back. He did not get angry at himself. That was new. When the timer ended, he stopped. He rested. He stood up. He breathed again. Nothing bad happened. By noon, he had completed more than he expected. Not faster, but cleaner. His work felt solid. His mind felt less crowded. On Tuesday, things became harder. Meetings filled the morning. People talked fast. Decisions piled up. Takeshi felt his chest tighten again. The old habit whispered, worked faster. Do everything now. He paused. One blade, he thought. He listened instead of reacting. He wrote notes. He chose one clear action after each meeting instead of 5. That afternoon, a co-worker asked, "How are you so calm today?" The question surprised him. He smiled slightly. "I'm just focusing on one thing at a time." That night, he noticed something important. He was tired, but he could still think. Before, tiredness felt like emptiness. Now, it felt like honest effort. Wednesday brought mistakes. He forgot something small. A detail slipped. The old fear returned. His heart jumped. His mind rushed to blame himself. But instead of panic, he paused. He fixed the mistake slowly. He accepted responsibility without attacking himself. The rule was teaching him something deeper. Focus without kindness still leads to burnout. Rest without guilt was part of strength. On Thursday morning, Takeshi added something new. Before work, he sat quietly for 3 minutes. He did nothing. He just breathed and looked at the light entering the room. This small moment changed. The whole morning, his movements felt slower, but clearer. His thoughts lined up instead of fighting. He noticed his body more. His shoulders relaxed. His jaw softened. This was not laziness. This was awareness. During the day, interruptions came like waves. Emails, calls, requests. Each one asked for his attention. Before, he would jump into all of them. Now he paused and asked one question. Is this my blade right now? If yes, he focused. If no, he scheduled it. This simple question saved him energy. By Friday, something unexpected happened. He finished his main task earlier than planned. He stared at the screen in disbelief. He had time, not empty time, real time, time to review his work, time to improve it, time to think. That afternoon, he went for a short walk. The sky looked brighter. The noise felt softer. He realized something important. Burnout had not come from working hard. It came from never stopping. It came from fighting everything at once. Saturday arrived quietly, for the first time in a long while. Takeshi did not dread the weekend. He did not feel the need to escape. He felt present. He cleaned his room slowly. He drank tea without checking his phone. He listened to music and actually heard it. His mind wandered, but gently. On Sunday evening, Takeshi sat at his desk with the folded paper. 1 week was complete. The rule had not solved everything. Stress still existed. Challenges still waited. But he felt different, stronger. Not because he pushed harder, stronger because he chose where to focus. He wrote a short note in a notebook. When I choose one task, my mind rests. When I rest, my focus becomes sharp. This felt like a cycle. Not force, flow, but just as comfort settled in, reality returned. His phone buzzed. A message from work. Emergency meeting tomorrow morning. Major issue. Takeshi felt his stomach tighten. This was the real test. A calm week was one thing. A crisis was another. He looked at the paper again. One blade. He took a deep breath. Tomorrow, the rule would face fire, and Takeshi would learn if this ancient mindset could survive modern chaos. Trial by fire, the samurai rule against burnout. Takeshi's ancient mindset for modern work Monday morning arrived. Without mercy, Takeshi sat at his desk before the sun rose. His phone lay silent, but he knew it would not stay that way. The emergency meeting was in less than an hour. His chest felt tight again, like old times. For a moment, fear tried to take control. His mind rushed ahead. Worst-case thoughts appeared. What if I fail? What if this is too much? What if the rule breaks under pressure? He closed his eyes. He remembered the paper. One blade, one task, then rest. The meeting began. Voices spoke fast. Faces looked serious. A major issue had appeared in the project. Deadlines were at risk. Everyone wanted answers. Everyone wanted action. Takeshi felt the pressure return, heavy and sharp. Before, he would speak quickly. Promise everything. Take on too much. This time, he paused. He listened. That pause felt dangerous. Silence always felt risky to him. But he stayed with it. Then he spoke calmly. One problem at a time, he said. Let's fix the main issue. First, the room went quiet. People nodded. That moment surprised him. The fire had not burned him. It had revealed something. After the meeting, tasks came fast. Messages flooded in. The clock seemed to move faster than usual. Takeshi wrote one task on his card. Fix core system error. Only one. His hands shook slightly as he started. The pressure was real. Time mattered. His mind tried to jump ahead. What about the report? What about the call later? What if this takes too long? He breathed. One blade. He worked with full attention. When distractions came, he noted them and returned to the task. His movements became steady, not rushed, not slow, focused. After 30 minutes, he stopped. That was hard. Everything in him wanted to continue. But the rules said rest. He stood up. He drank water. He took 3 deep breaths. The world did not collapse. He returned and worked again. Hours passed like this. Focus, rest. Focus, rest. The problem slowly untangled itself. By midday, progress was clear. People noticed as someone said, "You're handling this well." Takeshi did not feel proud. He felt present. In the afternoon, fatigue arrived. Real fatigue. His eyes burned. His back ached. His thoughts slowed. The old Takeshi would push harder. The warrior rule taught him something different. He stopped, not to quit, to sharpen. He closed his eyes for 1 minute. He relaxed his shoulders. He reminded himself why he was doing this. Burnout was not weakness. Ignoring it was. He returned to the task with care. By evening, the main issue was under control. The project was not perfect, but it was safe. Relief spread through the team. As the office emptied, Takeshi stayed seated. He felt exhausted, but something else was there. To combat, he realized something important. The rule worked in fire, but it demanded honesty. He could not use it to do more work. He had to use it to do the right work. That night, Takeshi walked home slowly. The city felt loud, but he felt steady at home. He sat quietly and reflected. The rule had saved him from panic, but it had also shown him a limit. Even with focus, the body needs care. Even with discipline, the heart needs meaning. He remembered his grandfather again. The calm eyes, the steady presence. The samurai were not machines. They trained hard, but they also rested deeply. They fought when needed, and they stopped when the fight was done. Takeshi understood now. The dest rule was not just about tasks. It was about respect. Respect for attention. Respect for energy. Respect for life. He took the folded paper and placed it in a notebook, but he added a new page. He wrote, "Focus gives strength. Rest keeps it alive." Tomorrow, he would not chase work. He would choose it. He would build a system. Not just follow a rule. The fire had tested him, and he had not burned. He had learned the way forward, the samurai rule against burnout. Takeshi's ancient mindset for modern work the next morning felt different. Takeshi woke up before the alarm, but this time his body did not feel heavy. He sat on the bed and noticed his breath. Slow, steady, calm. The fire was over, but the lesson remained. He knew one thing clearly now. The rule was not a trick for busy days. It was a way of living. Takeshi stood near the window and watched the light enter the room. In the past, mornings felt like a race. Today, it felt like a choice. He took out his notebook and opened a fresh page. At the top, he wrote, "The Samurai Way for Modern Work." Below it, he wrote 3 lines. Choose one task. Give it full attention. Rest without guilt. He looked at the words for a long time. This was not about doing less. This was about doing what mattered at work. Takeshi made small changes. He did not try to change everything at once. He changed how he started his day. Each morning, before checking messages, he chose one important task. He wrote it down. He promised himself to protect it. When distractions appeared, he paused. He asked a simple question. Is this my blade right? Now, if the answer was no, he scheduled it. If yes, he focused. People noticed the change. He spoke less, but with more clarity. He rushed less, but finished more. He stopped trying to please everyone and started respecting his limits. Surprisingly, his work improved. Not because he worked longer, but because he worked with presence. In the evenings, Takeshi stopped carrying work in his mind. He closed his laptop with intention. He rested without checking his phone. He allowed his nervous system to slow down. At first this felt uncomfortable. Rest used to feel like laziness. Now it felt like recovery. He slept better. He listened better. He smiled more. One evening, Takeshi visited his family home again. He sat in the same room where he had found the folded paper. He held it in his hands. He finally understood why his grandfather had kept it so simple. Complex rules create stress. Simple rules create freedom. The samurai did not win battles by swinging faster. They won by choosing the right moment. Takeshi realized that burnout had never been his enemy. Burnout had been a message. It was telling him he was fighting everything at once. It was asking him to slow down and choose. Weeks passed. Life did not become perfect. Some days were still heavy. Some tasks still drained him. But now he had a way back to balance. When stress returned, he returned to the rule. One blade, one task, then rest. This rule became his anchor. He no longer feared busy days. He no longer feared pressure, because he knew how to meet them with clarity. Takeshi understood something deeper now. True strength is not endless effort. True strength is controlled energy. The samurai did not fight all day. They trained. They rested. They waited. And when the moment came, they acted with full presence. One afternoon, a younger co-worker asked him, "How do you stay so calm?" Takeshi smiled. "I don't do everything," he said. "I do one thing well." That night, he wrote one final note in his notebook. Burnout ends when presence begins. He closed the notebook and placed it on his shelf. The rule was no longer just paper. It was part of him, and somewhere, in the quiet of memory, his grandfather's calm eyes seemed to approve. Takeshi had not become weaker. He had become wiser. Final message for the audience, voiceover friendly. He learned that life is not a battle you fight all day. It is a moment you choose carefully. One blade, one task, then rest. If this story helped you, ask yourself one question today. What is your one blade right now? Choose it, focus on it, then rest. Subscribe to @PresenceWafer, more stories that bring clarity, calm, and meaning in a noisy world.